Thanks for staying with us. As the 9-member expert committee delves into the uniform syllabus row, we bring you a cry from the heart of a student who felt discriminated just because she belonged to the ICSE stream and didn't get marks as high as her counterparts from the state board.
Well, on the sidelines of the Hindu's newspapers in education program, here's a case study that in many ways reflects the real problem today with the syllabus issue. I'm now joined by a student of Zion School. What exactly is your problem? Why do you feel so strongly about this?
My name is Pavitra and I'm in Zion and I'm studying 11. I'm a student of ICSE and I think I got a 77, a decent mark as well. But when I tried for, when there was admissions in schools, I had applied for all the schools and I was only selected in Zion, which valued ICSE. I tried even in Sita Devi, they said you just got a 54 in science. But that's not the case. I studied ICSE and I think it should be valued. I got 74 in maths. They say you got only 74 in maths, and how do you expect a first group? Students who secured so many marks in state board is state board. ICSE is something which is much more bigger than that, sir. And people think ICSE students who study in ICSE and get 64, they are dumb. How can they do that? I really feel so bad. And there is a difference between state board students and ICSE students. State board students are just the base. ICSE students, they must value them, sir. Exactly in Tamil Nadu, it doesn't happen at all. They just look at your marks and say, okay, you're rejected, ma'am.
Now staying with education, hordes of students want to get into the Delhi University. But this young man with 88% is giving it a miss. Take a look at this truly insightful story.
Vanshaj Bhasin busy checking the websites of foreign universities. He scored 88% in the class 12 CBSE exams but has not got a seat in the preferred course, Economic Honours, in any of the top colleges of Delhi University. Vanshaj says he's even willing to lose a year if he gets a good alternative outside Delhi.
When other people start thinking within the school that they're not going to get good marks, you also feel that there is a chance that I'm also not going to get good marks. So then the people try for UK, Bombay. I will try giving SAT. SAT exam is for US, and if you get a 2200 score out of 24, you can go into Stanford. And they'll start the winter batches also. So the winter batches will start from Jan.
There has been mass outrage with Delhi University cutoffs hitting the roof. But experts say this was expected. The number of CBSE students scoring 90% has almost doubled this year, with 70 of Vanshaj's classmates alone falling in that bracket.
Educationists and principals both agree that this imbalance between supply of students and demand of seats in colleges has led to a brain drain over the past few years. None of them see cutoffs going down in the immediate future. So could the answer lie in increasing the number of seats in Delhi University?
Currently, Delhi University has 54,000 seats. St. Stephen's principal Valsan Thampu believes the number of seats needs to be raised. Thampu had written to university authorities last year asking them to raise the seats in 3 courses, but that proposal never took off.
I have a copy of the report of the committee, the inspection committee sent by the university. One is that it's difficult to get good teachers in economics. The second reason they advocated was that, this whole confusion about semesterization needs to settle down. My response to that is semesterization is not the creation of St. Stephen's College. Why should St. Stephen's College be affected by something that is extraneous to itself?
Meanwhile, Vanshaj has taken admission in a BA course in Delhi University. But what about many others like him who have scored even less marks? In New Delhi with Tanima Biswas, Vega Bakshi for NDTV.
Well, education is not complete with just math and science. One needs much more than that to survive in the increasingly competitive world. The Hindu takes the effort to make sure that students are readied to take on the world outside their schools through the newspaper in education program. Scoring a centum in math and science might make you the class topper, but in today's competitive world, that may not be enough. The Hindu's NIE, newspaper in education program, helps give students that extra edge.
So the knowledge they gain, knowledge it covers everything, social issues, financial issues, academic issues. So many issues are now the children are facing, which children really get to know, and they are updated with the knowledge they gain from newspaper. So we planned this newspaper should be made part of curriculum. For standard 1 to 9, we really allot marks. So 15 marks for quarterly and 20 marks for offline annual. In a way, it puts a kind of compulsion on the part of children to learn newspaper, read newspaper, study newspaper like textbooks, and therefore they are updated with the knowledge, and it will be beneficial to them later on when they go for any competitive examination like UPSC.
NIE aims at increasing the general knowledge of the students and awareness about the world around them, along with developing their personalities and communication skills. In fact, one can learn much more by reading the newspaper regularly than from any of their regular textbooks.
This is a textbook that you can keep from class, I guess from the time you learn to read, from class 4 till class 12 and beyond. Any interview, any job interview, let me tell you this, no one looks at your marks.
For that complete personality that interviewers look for, you don't have to look beyond newspaper in education. Make sure you take the newspaper to school every day. In Chennai with reporter Panchami, Natasha for NDTV Hindu. Well, with the 9-member committee headed by the Chief Secretary to look into the uniform syllabus issue now being the focus for everyone, especially the parents from Tamil Nadu, a lot of questions have been cropping up regarding the members of the panel that are to review the syllabus and textbooks for implementing the uniform education system. Now, the CPM State Secretary G. Ramakrishnan today said in a statement that the presence of private school owners in the expert panel on the uniform syllabus is not acceptable, according to him. He also said that the uniform syllabus should be introduced this academic year itself after setting right the various mistakes made by the past DMK regime. And our senior correspondent Peer Mohammed, who's been tracking the story, joins us live on the phone line. Peer, at this point now that the very panel that was formulated in the first place to solve the issues is now being questioned in terms of the members of this particular panel, especially now that we remember the PMK chief Ramadas himself objected to the presence of Mrs. YGP and C. Jayadev as well. So really at this point, what does it mean for the panel and the education system itself?
Natasha, in fact, the Supreme Court has given powers to the state government to appoint the panel. What they have suggested is to appoint 2 independent academicians. In that place, the Tamil Nadu government, the Chief Minister Jayalalitha had decided to appoint Mrs. YGP of Padma Seshadri Balabhavan schools and also C. Jayadev of DAV schools. Now, the appointment of these 2 people has come under fire, particularly from the opposition first, that is from Patali Makkal Katti Chief Ramadas had taken a very strong exception to the appointment of these 2 people, saying that their schools are overcharging their students and they are not academicians in the truest sense, and they are only owners of 2 private school chains. That is what he had said. Now that the CPM State Committee had met under Prakash Karath and G. Ramakrishnan had come out with a statement after the State Committee meeting that it is not acceptable that 2 owners of big private schools are part of this panel. And this is because they are what they have said, both Ramadas and CPM have been saying is that these people are known to be strong critics of the uniform syllabus system itself. So that will seriously affect the report, which is going to be submitted before the Madras High Court before 6th of July. But I don't think, considering the nature of nature of the emergency that the Tamil Nadu government is finding itself in, they may not be changing the panel at this point in time because it is a time-bound panel and they have to submit the report before the Madras High Court. But the criticism remains, particularly from the opposition, and the DMK also has been criticizing. But whether the government will pay heed to it remains to be seen because they have already met and they have started work on the review of textbooks. Natasha.
All right, Peer, thanks so much for joining us and giving us that information. Looks like what was meant to be a solution in the first place looks like it is quite questionable in terms of that panel, and it's turning out to be a little bit of a problem there for the present government. But moving on now, you see them living on platforms every day, but their numbers hardly register. We are told that 40,000 people in Chennai live on pavements with no roof over their heads. Although they don't have a legal claim to the space they encroach upon, resettling them has become a huge challenge for successive governments. Our reporter Pratiksha took a walk on the pavement to get the full picture.
Bhavani is preparing breakfast for her family on a side of the busy Ratan Bazar road, as she has for years. She dreams of a roof, but the reality is this tree on the pavement has been her home always.
நாங்கள் பாட்டம் பாப்பிலேருந்து இருக்கிறோம். தலைமுறையாக நாங்கள் ரொம்ப வருஷங்களமாக கிடக்குறோம். நாங்கள் வீட்டுக்கு போகலன்னா நாங்கள் எந்த வீட்டு வரமானது, நாங்கள் எந்த வீட்டுக்கு போகிறது. காற்று மழை அடிச்சாலும் குழந்தைங்க பிறந்தா கூட நாங்கள் பச்சை புள்ளிய போட்டிங்க தான் இருப்போம். நாங்கள் இந்த கடை ஓரத்தில் தான்.
The younger generation say they live on the edge. Girls say they don't even have the privacy to change their clothes, while the young men say they face all kinds of threats if they step out to buy something after 10 p.m.
என்னன்னா ஒரு 9 மணி 10 மணிக்கு மேலே அப்படி அங்கன்னா போனோம், சாப்பாடு வாங்கிட்டு வரணும், கொள்ளணும் அப்படின்றாங்க. நான் ஒரு சந்தேக கேஸில் பிடிப்பாங்க. வந்து அவங்க உனக்கு கேஸ் போட்டுக்கிறேன், நீ போ மொபைல் கோர்ட்டில் கட்டிக்கணும். நாங்கள் நேராக போய்ட்டு அங்கே ஜட்ஜ் ஐயா இருப்பார். என்னப்பா இந்தமாதிரி சண்டை பண்ணால் இல்லையா தெரியாத பண்ணிட்டேன்னா ஒரு 300 இல்லை 500 அதை ஃபைன் போடுவோம்.
NGOs working with them say their problems are very intricate. Always looked upon as encroachers or thieves, shelters and government support is the need of the hour.
One, the most important is the shelter, and the shelter has to be located within the 3 kilometers as per the Supreme Court guidelines. Now, as in place, there are 6 shelters in Chennai. But however, the Supreme Court guidelines says before December 31st, 2010, there should have been 10 shelters.
Chennai Corporation officials say despite the huge constraints in real estate space, they are trying to speed things up.
We are trying to put up 7 more, maybe in another 3 months' time. So we are trying to locate some space near this place so that they can stay in those night shelters. But there is a problem of constraint of space.
NGOs say this is just a beginning. They say a focus should be laid on providing adequate facilities like safety, education and healthcare to these people. In Chennai, Pratiksha Ramkumar for NDTV Hindu.
Well, after almost 3 weeks since the close of the IPL, Gautam Gambhir finally opens up to NDTV about his controversial cricketing choices. That special interview is coming up right after this break.